Welcome my friends to another Walking Dead discussion video. Now before we continue, if I sound terribly ill in this video, it's because I am. That's kind of why I've been MIA on YouTube for like a week. It's been pretty crippling. I've got a burning throat, I can barely open my eyes like right now. My eyes are closed pretty much completely and I'm just feeling terrible, but we must push through and make this video because I've had this video in the works for a little while now and I just want to make it. So yeah, we're just going to push forward. Okay, so I've made a few videos discussing possible theories of Carl surviving the walker bite. And you know, those videos have been really fun to make. They've been really fun to think about and just ponder how he could survive this. And you know, developing all these theories. But I think we need to face the very real possibility that Carl is going to die. So far, it is looking like he is confirmed dead, that he will die. And you know, these theories are all well and good, and you know, maybe there's a possibility they could be true, but I think we need to face, you know, Carl's death, what will happen when he dies. And so with Carl dying, what will become of Rick? How will this change Rick? I mean, we've seen what happens to Rick when he loses someone close to him. I mean, just look at what happened after Lori died. He went completely crazy and remained crazed for many days after. I mean, in the comic books, he remained crazed all up until recently, actually. He still saw, you know, Ghost Lori up until quite recently in the comics. You know, we all know what Rick can do when he enters rage mode. So will this happen again after Carl's death? Well, I mean, you think he would enter a rage, kind of like he did with Lori in the prison. And, you know, that would honestly be a fair thing to expect, you know, Rick losing his son. If that's what he did when he lost his wife, what would he do when he lost his son? So that's completely fair to, you know, assume that's going to happen, that he's going to enter one of his, you know, famous Rick rages. But I personally don't think this will happen. And even if it does, it won't be for very long. You know, I think most people expect Rick to enter his famous Rick rage. I mean, especially when it involves Carl, just like he did when, you know, Carl was shot in the face at Alexandria. You know, Rick was so angry that he took out a whole horde, you know, that were attacking Alexandria with a hatchet. So if that was Rick's reaction to Carl almost dying, what will his reaction be to Carl actually dying? You would expect him to go into an even bigger rage than he did then. But again, I don't think he will. I don't think he will because throughout Season 8, Carl has, you know, in a way been trying to guide Rick onto a new path. You know, one of compassion, forgiveness, and just generally trying to turn Rick into a, you know, just a good dude. And, you know, I think it will take Carl's death to finally move Rick onto this path. You know, after Carl's death, instead of Rick becoming just a wrecking ball, wiping out Negan and the Saviors, you know, as a response to Carl's death, I think Rick will kind of become like he was in the beginning of Season 4. If you remember Farmer Rick, you know, him and Herschel growing crops. Back then, Rick didn't even carry a gun for a while. He was a complete, you know, pacifist, just good old farmer dude. And, you know, after Carl's death, I think he might go back to this in, you know, not fully pacifist. I think he might still carry weapons, but I do think Rick will kind of go back to this more peaceful version of himself that we know he can be. And this is why I think Rick is so calm and collected in the Old Man Rick flash forward scenes that we've seen this season. You know, he seems to be smiling throughout all those scenes, like he's content with life, and is, you know, he's found a purpose beyond just surviving in this new world. And I think because of this, we will see Alexandria and the other communities prosper and develop in later seasons because, you know, people are no longer spilling blood, they're working together. I mean, spoilers for comics here, but, you know, Negan kind of becomes like, almost like an extension of Rick in a way. I don't want to say they're like partners, but, you know, Negan generally wants to help, you know, after all that war, after his imprisonment. And so, you know, this new way of life, this new compassion, this new kind of, you know, era of rebuilding the world, I think this is why Rick will spare Negan, you know, and imprison him for those 2 years. I think he'll spare him because of Carl and, you know, what Carl wanted Rick to become. It'll almost be like Rick does what he does from now on in memory of Carl, almost like these are the actions of Carl and these are the actions he wanted me to take. So yeah, I think, you know, that's why he will spare Negan. You know, in the beginning of this season, he's like, I want Negan, I just want Negan, I just want to kill Negan. But I think that's going to change now after Carl's death. So, you know, Carl's death might not turn Rick into another crazed monster, just in his rage, just killing everybody and wiping out walkers. I think it will be the complete opposite from what we're used to seeing. Okay, so anyway, that was my quick thoughts on how Carl's death will change Rick. So, you know, we've discussed in multiple videos the possibility of Carl surviving, so I think it was good to make this video and, you know, talk about, you know, his possible death, because it is looking like, you know, he's gonna die here. So anyway, as per usual, tell me what you think in the comments below, and if you like what you see, feel free to leave a like, and if you do want to see more, consider subscribing. My friends, I am sorry for my sickly voice, just bear with me, it should go away soon, hopefully, but as always, your viewership is always appreciated, and I'll see you in the next video.